The sky over Zion 9 is ablaze with plasma storms, the air crackling with erratic lightning. Anti-orbital artillery rips through the atmosphere, sending streaks of white-hot energy across the jagged mountains below. It's just another chaotic Wednesday on this war-torn planet. Sergeant Alex Hayes stands among the wreckage of an alien battlefield, covered in the grime of battle and the stink of burning metal. His boots sink into the ash and charred earth, while around him the remnants of a once great alien transport lie broken and crumpled like an abandoned toy. This wasn't supposed to be a rescue mission, just a quick recon sweep, a scout and run. Get in, get the beacon, and get out. No drama, no surprises, no royalty. But something went terribly wrong. Explosions shudder through the ground like the planet itself is convulsing. Debris falls from the sky in slow arcs, the remnants of exploded vehicles and disintegrated alien drones raining down with a hiss. Alex grits his teeth, elbows deep in twisted steel, trying to pull the hatch open on a wrecked Yrothian personnel carrier that now resembles a tin can flattened by a cosmic toddler. The heads-up display on his helmet flickers to life, a digital alarm blinking relentlessly, dangerously low oxygen. Ammunition reserves are at critically low levels, and his morale, well, it's somewhere between May and panic. But he ignores it. His focus is fixed on the twisted heap of metal before him, his fingers working furiously to get the hatch open. Then, a sharp hiss cuts through the chaos, a sound that isn't mechanical, but something alive. The hiss reverberates in the air like a warning shot. Instinctively, Alex tenses, his hand hovering over his rifle. His eyes dart across the wreckage, scanning for movement, and that's when he sees her. Crouched behind a fractured stasis pod, a small figure emerges. Her violet skin is bruised and battered, her long, sharp ears flicking with agitation. Her eyes, huge and luminous, reflect a strange, almost unnatural light. She snarls, her mouth pulling back to reveal rows of sharp teeth as she grips a small, plush creature with one glowing eye, its mouth twisted into a twisted, unsettling grin. The creature looks almost too cheerful for the mayhem surrounding them. She's about the size of an 8-year-old human child, but there's no mistaking it. She's not from Earth. Her body moves with an eerie fluidity, and every part of her is a stark contrast to the war-torn landscape around them. As Alex approaches cautiously, she hurls a jagged piece of twisted metal at him, narrowly missing his helmet. The object clatters harmlessly to the ground. "Human!" when she screeches, her voice high-pitched but full of venom. "Back off or I'll have your soul boiled!" Her words ring out in perfect galactic basic, an alien dialect that Alex is all too familiar with. Despite the danger in her voice, Alex stays calm, carefully lowering his rifle. He watches her, perplexed. What is a royal princess doing in the middle of a war zone? She doesn't look like she belongs here. She looks more like a frightened, furious creature caught in a nightmare. Still, there's something about her that doesn't quite add up. Her anger, her fear, and her sense of urgency are palpable, but so is her vulnerability. He steps closer, hands raised in a peaceful gesture. "I'm not your enemy, kid," Alex says, his voice steady. "But I've got a lot of questions, and I don't think you want to get boiled today." He doesn't back away. He knows that the only way out of this hellhole is to get her out too. Her eyes narrow as she steps out from behind the stasis pod, still clutching the little creature. "You think you can help me?" she spits. "I am Princess Ziva of the Yrothian Empire. Touch me and you'll suffer 1,000 years of imperial retribution." Alex doesn't flinch, even though he's more than a little surprised at the ferocity of her words. He surveys the wreckage around them, the way the land trembles with explosions, and then looks back at her, completely unfazed. "Well," he mutters under his breath, "you're definitely not from the mailroom." The ground beneath them shakes again as another explosion rattles the distant horizon, sending a cloud of dust into the air. Alex checks his comms, his voice low and calm, as he mutters into the microphone, yeah, found a princess. Very stabby, a 10-10 attitude." His comm crackles back, a long pause on the other end, followed by a confused voice. "Please tell me that's code for a broken data core." Alex glances at the little princess, who is now growling and messing with an upside-down plasma cutter like it's a toy. She's a mess, injured, scared, and definitely not about to be easy to protect. But she's his responsibility now. "Negative," Alex replies, keeping his voice steady as the sound of approaching drones fills the air. "Small, sentient threat level, emotionally volatile." He sighs, shaking his head. It's going to be a long day. The air crackles with tension as Yrothian kill drones close in, their engines humming menacingly. Alex glances at Ziva, still clutching her plush creature, her violet eyes wide with fear. The sound of their whirring motors fills the air, growing louder with each second. "All right, Your Highness," Alex says, lowering his rifle. "Rule number 1, survive. Rule number 2, trust me to get you out of here, and I'll throw in some chocolate ration." He offers a half smile, trying to lighten the mood. Ziva narrows her eyes, still skeptical. But the alternative is worse. "Fine," she mutters. "But if you betray me, I'll have your soul ripped out." She pauses for a moment before adding, "My mother will have you executed." Alex chuckles darkly, more to calm himself than anything. "Great, just what I need. Another royal threat. Let's move." With the drones gaining ground, Alex grabs Ziva, lifting her onto his back like an oddly sarcastic backpack. She clings to him, her sharp, pointy ears twitching as every footstep sends the ground trembling beneath them. Plasma bolts whiz past, leaving sizzling marks in the air as they dart through the war-torn landscape. Alex sprints, weaving between debris and craters, Ziva's weight a strange but steady presence on his back. The air is thick with smoke, and explosions ripple in the distance, the ground shuddering with each blast. Despite the chaos, Alex keeps his focus. "Stay close," he mutters under his breath, dodging another plasma blast just inches away from his face. They arrive at the dropship, where Alex's squad stares at him in stunned silence, their eyes wide with disbelief. "Is that royalty?" Corporal Harris asks, voice filled with surprise as his gaze flicks between Alex and the small, fierce figure on his back. "Royal baggage," Alex mutters, offering a shrug, but Ziva grins mischievously, her sharp teeth gleaming in the dim light. Once aboard the Empress's flagship, Alex is immediately struck by the cold, calculating stares of the Yrothian guards. The air feels thicker here, charged with an unnerving sense of power. One of the guards steps forward, sniffing the air with disdain. "You smell like rust and human fear," the guard growls, eyes narrowing as they focus on Alex. "Must be the granola bar I've been carrying for 3 days." Alex shoots back with his usual dry humor, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. They move deeper into the ship, the corridors adorned with shimmering walls that seem to pulse with a life of their own. They reach the throne room, and Alex feels the weight of every step. Inside, Empress Vora stands, her figure commanding attention. Her eyes glow like burning solar flares, an intimidating presence that makes the very air hum with authority. The Yrothian Empress is a towering figure, clad in robes of shifting metallic hues, her crown floating above her head, an ethereal halo that flickers with shifting star-like lights. Ziva steps forward, her usual bravado on display as she stands beside her mother. The Empress looks at Alex with a mixture of curiosity and cold calculation, her expression unreadable. "You saved my daughter," she states, her voice as sharp as a blade. "That's commendable, but I owe you nothing." Alex stands firm, though every inch of him feels the weight of the Empress's gaze. "Just doing my job, ma'am," he replies, his voice steady but carrying a hint of sarcasm. Despite her icy demeanor, there's a strange spark in the Empress's eyes, something almost impressed, but buried beneath layers of political calculation. Ziva, ever defiant, elbows Alex lightly, a sly grin still playing at the corner of her lips. "Not exactly a warm welcome, huh?" she murmurs, her voice laced with amusement. Alex can only shrug in response, unsure what to make of the Empress's cold words, but prepared for whatever might come next. Alex stands in front of the Yrothian Empress, expecting the usual military debrief, or perhaps a simple thanks for saving her daughter. What he doesn't expect is the proposition that follows. Empress Vora, her regal presence unshaken, fixes her piercing gaze on him. "Become our ambassador," she says, her voice smooth, almost hypnotic. "You will be the symbol of peace between the Yrothians and humans." Alex's mind races as the words sink in. "Wait, you're asking me to be your symbol? A human soldier at the heart of your empire?" His voice is laced with disbelief, the weight of the offer too strange to fully comprehend. Vora doesn't blink. She nods once, slow and deliberate. "Yes, you've intrigued both sides. Your story, your actions, will inspire." For a moment, Alex is silent. His eyes flicker between Vora and Ziva, who watches him intently, her sharp, glowing eyes offering no comfort. He's just a soldier. A guy who's used to following orders, not making them. But there's something about this proposal, something that catches him off guard. The idea of peace, of bridging two worlds, of doing something more than surviving. It's tempting, but before he can respond, the quiet tension in the air shatters. The doors to the council room slam open, and a grating voice cuts through the stillness. "We know what you're doing, Carson. Don't fall for their game. They're using you." The words hang in the air, heavy with accusation. A transmission from the human resistance, breaking into the conversation. The room goes still. Eyes shift between Alex and the holographic screen, tension climbing. Alex's jaw tightens. He knows the voice, the familiar rasp of Commander Harland, the man who's led the resistance. "I saved the princess," Alex says firmly, his voice rising to meet the weight of the accusation. "I didn't sign up for any political games." Vora, her expression unreadable, doesn't flinch. She doesn't even look at the transmission. Her eyes stay locked on Alex, silently studying him, waiting for his next move. The room remains frozen, the moment stretched taut like a wire ready to snap. Alex feels the weight of both sides pulling at him. His hands twitch at his sides, the uncertainty gnawing at him. Peace. War. The right choice. Or just another trap. His heart pounds in his chest. Alex's mind spins as the council debates his role within the Yrothian Empire. Their voices rise and fall in a mix of sharp-edged rhetoric and quiet murmurs, the chamber vibrating with the weight of the decision he's being asked to make. His emotions twist like a knot in his chest. One side pulls at him, the resistance, the people he swore to fight for, who see him as their last hope for survival. Freedom. The idea of standing up for humanity, of pushing back against the oppression of the Yrothians, feels like something he should believe in. Yet the other side, the Empress's offer of peace, calls to him like a beacon in the storm. Could he really play the role in ending this war? Could he be the symbol both sides need? The bridge between them? Ziva watches him closely from across the room, her sharp eyes following his every move. She's no longer the angry, mistrustful princess he first met. There's a strange, almost protective look in her gaze now. She knows what he's struggling with, and despite her usual bravado, she isn't offering any answers, only quiet understanding. "You've already made your choice," she says, her voice surprisingly gentle for someone so fierce. "Just don't forget who you are." Alex meets her gaze, the weight of her words sinking in. He's always been just a soldier, just a man who follows orders. But now he's standing on the edge of something bigger, something that could change everything. The political debate rages around him, but his mind keeps drifting back to the choice he must make. Both sides want him, want to use him. He's a symbol. But what kind of symbol is he really? A pawn in a game of galactic chess, caught between two sides with nothing but his own morals to guide him. Ziva, watching his struggle, can't help but lean forward. "It's not as simple as they're making it sound," she murmurs. "But remember, you saved me, not because you wanted something in return. Don't lose that." In the back of his mind, Alex knows she's right, but the words from the human resistance echo in his head. They're using you. The tension between the Yrothians and humans feels like a battle for his very soul, and both sides have their claws in him now. He can't help but feel like a pawn in their game. The war is more complicated than he ever imagined. Peace doesn't come easily, not when there are so many layers of betrayal and politics between the two sides. And yet, a part of him still clings to the hope that maybe, just maybe, peace is worth fighting for. But is he strong enough to make that choice? Or will the war consume him, just as it has consumed everything else? The decision weighs on him, suffocating in its complexity. He's stuck in the middle of a war that never seemed to have an end. The clock is ticking, and the next move could determine the fate of more than just himself. The air crackles with the tension of impending violence, the quiet before the storm thick with uncertainty. Suddenly, the stillness is shattered. A deafening roar echoes through the halls of the royal ship, followed by the unmistakable sound of blaster fire. The resistance, ever the unpredictable force, has launched a surprise attack. Rebel ships breach the ship's defenses with expert precision, and soldiers flood into the corridors, weapons blazing. Alex's heart pounds in his chest as the battle erupts around him. He's forced into the heart of the conflict once again, torn between two opposing forces, two visions of the galaxy's future. The resistance, his comrades, demand he join them and fight for humanity's freedom, while Empress Vora's promise of peace dangles in front of him like a distant, unreachable star. But now, there's no time for hesitation, no time to make careful decisions. Ziva, fierce as ever, stands beside him, plasma rifle in hand, her sharp eyes scanning the chaos ahead. Her usually haughty demeanor is replaced by a determined focus as she fires, her aim deadly as the rebels charge through the hallways. "You said they wouldn't come," she calls over the din, her voice a mix of mockery and exasperation. Her plasma shots light up the darkened corridors, sending rebels scrambling for cover. "I said they shouldn't come! Big difference!" Alex shouts back, ducking behind a support column as a blast rips through the air, narrowly missing him. The battle feels endless, the walls shaking with the impact of explosions, the floor slick with the remnants of destroyed machinery and bodies. Their movements are quick, fluid, as they make their way toward the command center. Ziva, despite her small size, is a fierce force, effortlessly taking down rebel soldiers with precision shots. Alex keeps pace with her, his own rifle sweeping across the room, taking down anyone who gets too close. The heat of the plasma bolts fills the air, a constant hum that cuts through the chaos. Ziva's voice is a sharp edge in the storm. "You still think you can fix this?" she asks, the hint of skepticism threading through her words. Alex doesn't answer at first, his mind racing with the realization that he's trapped between two worlds. He wants to believe in the Empress's vision, the hope of a peaceful future. But the rebellion is here, they're fighting, and their cause isn't wrong either. He fires, taking down another rebel soldier, and glances at Ziva. "I'm not sure," he admits, his voice low but steady. "But maybe I don't have to choose. Not today." Ziva looks at him, her expression unreadable for a moment. "Just don't make the mistake of thinking peace is easy." Her words linger in the air as they push forward, a reminder that the cost of peace might be more than Alex is ready to pay. Amid the chaos of blaster fire and the relentless pounding of explosions, Alex stands at the crossroads of his destiny. The fate of both the Yrothian Empire and humanity teeters on the edge of a blade. The ship's hallways are filled with the acrid scent of burning metal and the crackle of dying energy shields. Rebel forces clash with Yrothian guards, and the weight of Alex's decision presses on him like the sky itself is falling. He's no longer just a soldier. He's a symbol now, one both sides want to control. His mind races. Loyalty to the resistance? The hope for a future of human freedom? Or does he place his faith in Empress Vora's vision of peace? The conflict rages in his chest. But then, a realization strikes him. Maybe it's not about choosing sides. Maybe it's about the possibility of something greater than war, something beyond what either side can see. With Ziva by his side, firing plasma shots at the advancing rebels, Alex makes his choice. He doesn't do it for the Empress or the Yrothians. He does it because he believes in the possibility of peace, in the belief that two civilizations, so different yet so alike, can find a way to coexist. In that fleeting moment, Alex sets aside his personal fears and sacrifices his own safety for the chance that the galaxy might be able to avoid another decade of bloodshed. He pushes through this battle, taking Ziva's hand and leading her through the gunfire and explosions toward the central command room. He stands tall in front of the council and the Empress, his voice steady as he declares his commitment. "If there's going to be peace," Alex says, his gaze meeting Vora's, "I'll stand with you. Not because I believe in your empire, but because I believe in the future we could build together." The room falls silent for a brief moment, as though the universe itself is holding its breath. Then, the energy shifts. There is a shift of recognition in Empress Vora's eyes, an acknowledgement of his sacrifice, and something softens in the way she regards him. The battle dies down, the last rebel forces retreating into the depths of space, leaving only the aftermath of destruction. The ship, once filled with chaos and tension, slowly quiets. Alex finds himself standing alone on the balcony, the stars stretching out before him in infinite silence. He leans against the railing, the distant hum of the engines the only sound. The moon of Zion 9 burns in the distance, a reminder of the cost of war, but the horizon now feels different, calmer, more open. Ziva appears beside him, her royal armor now adorned with a splash of color, her armor decorated with a cartoon pancake, the crown she wears now almost comical in its absurdity. She leans next to him, looking out at the stars. "So, what now?" she asks, her voice softer than usual. Alex smiles, a genuine, almost wistful smile. "Now, we build something worth keeping," he replies, his voice steady. "And maybe start a pancake shop?" Ziva snorts, the humor catching her off guard, but there's a glimmer of something more in her eyes. "That's weirdly optimistic," she says, but her smile mirrors his. Together, they look out into the stars. The future is uncertain, filled with its challenges and dangers, but for the first time, it feels like there's a chance for something better. The stars above the Yrothian capital blaze with cold, distant light, illuminating the landscape below. The city sprawls beneath them, its towering spires made of shimmering alloys reflecting the night sky, casting long shadows across the marble streets. The air is thick with the hum of energy, the quiet pulse of a civilization that has known nothing but war for too long. To the side, the moon of Zion 9 hangs in the sky, its surface scarred and pitted, proof of the battles fought, the lives lost, and the history written in fire and ash. The remnants of plasma storms that once raged over the surface still linger in the atmosphere, a faint shimmer of violet against the darkness, a haunting reminder of everything that was torn apart. But amidst the wreckage, something new stirs. A fragile hope, a future uncertain yet full of potential. Alex stands with Ziva, their eyes fixed on the city below, their shoulders almost touching as they share the moment. The weight of everything that has happened lingers between them, unspoken, but understood. There's a quiet peace in this shared silence, as if the very act of standing here, together, is an act of defiance against the chaos that once seemed unbreakable. The alliance they forged, still in its infancy, is delicate, held together by trust, by choice, and by the understanding that peace is never simple. But it's real, and it's something they've built from the ashes of war. Ziva stands a little taller, her gaze sweeping across the city. The royal armor she wears now feels less like a symbol of conquest and more like a symbol of change. "You think it'll last?" she asks, her voice quieter now, less certain than the sharp bravado she once carried. Alex exhales slowly, his gaze never leaving the horizon. "I don't know," he says honestly. "But sometimes it's not about whether it lasts. It's about making the choice to try." Ziva lets the silence stretch between them, and for the first time, the city, so filled with history and power, feels like it might be a place where change is possible, where something more than war can grow. The stars above flicker as they always have, indifferent to the struggles of those below. But tonight, their light seems a little less cold, a little more welcoming. The universe may be vast and unpredictable, but here, in this moment, it feels like anything is possible.